Hello everyone, welcome back to AZ900 with Piyush. This is video number 17th, and in this particular video we will be looking into the basic concepts of Azure Active Directory, Azure Active Directory Connect service and Azure Active Directory Domain Services. So this is going to be a short video without any hands-on demo and mostly based on the concepts. So watch it till the end, and at the end we will be doing some knowledge checks for AZ900 certification exam as always. So without any further ado, let's get into it. First, let's have a look at the basics of identity, authorization, and authentication. An identity could be a person, a device, a computer, a functional ID, or anything that accesses your application. When you try to sign into your application by using an authentication method such as username and password, a request goes to an authorization server that validates your authenticity. It checks whether you are who you say you are and not someone impersonating you. If the validation is successful, you are logged in, and this process is called authentication. Then you try to access an application or a service, request goes to the auth server again and checks if you have the access or not. If you have the access, then access is granted and you should be able to access that service or application. This process is called authorization. That means whether you are authorized to perform certain operations or not. So, this is the normal process of identity, authentication, and authorization. It becomes difficult to manage your identities when you have your application running on multiple platforms and environments. For instance, you need to access your Office 365 applications or Microsoft applications such as Microsoft Teams, and your workload is running into Microsoft Azure. So you have your workloads and applications running on multiple platforms and services. You would need a centralized server which takes care of your identity management. This is where Active Directory comes in. Well, Active Directory is something that you host on premises on a Windows server, but if you need similar capabilities in cloud, Azure Active Directory is the service for you. It's a managed cloud based identity and access management offering by Azure. It comes with a lot of features such as authentication, authorization, single sign on, which means you can use the same credential to log in into multiple platforms and applications, as it provides a centralized user management system. It also provides capabilities of self service password reset and multi-factor authentication, which means you need to provide extra details on top of your credential to authenticate yourself as a valid identity, such as OTP sent to your phone or email, key generated by a soft token or hard token, some security questions that you have set during the registration, your PIN, captcha verification. All these are using multi-factor authentication. It provides an extra layer of security for logging to your application. There is one more service which is called Azure AD Identity Protection that forces the user to change the password if the login location or source IP is unidentified. Again, this is to protect your identity as a user so that your application is secure enough and no unauthorized user should be able to penetrate the system. Now let's talk about Azure Active Directory Connect. If you had an on premises environment running Active Directory and a cloud deployment using Azure Active Directory, you would need to maintain two identity set for the same identity. However, you can connect Active Directory on premises and Azure Active Directory, enabling a consistent identity experience between cloud and on premises. Users can use a single identity to access on premises application and cloud services such as Microsoft Office 365. One method of connecting Azure AD with your on premises AD is using Azure AD Connect or Azure Active Directory Connect service. Azure AD Connect synchronizes user identity between on premises Active Directory and Azure Active Directory. So you can use the services like single sign on, multi factor authentication, self service password reset under both the systems, which also eliminates the need for managing same identities in multiple places. Let's talk about Azure Active Directory Domain Service. A managed domain is configured to perform one-way synchronization from Azure Active Directory to Azure Active Directory Domain Service. You can create resources directly in the managed domain, but they aren't synchronized back to Azure. In hybrid environment, with an on-premises Active Directory domain service environment, Azure AD Connect synchronizes the identity information with Azure AD, which is then synchronized to the managed domain. This is a one-way synchronization from Azure Active Directory to Azure Active Directory domain services. That means any changes happen at the source location would reflect in the destination as well, but not the other way around. Also, this service provides managed domain services such as domain join, group policy, LDAP authentication, and also some advanced authentication mechanisms such as Kerberos and NTLM. So these advanced authentications are not provided with Azure AD Connect or Azure Active Directory. So if you need to have a managed domain service, then you use Azure AD Domain Service. Make sure you understand the difference between Azure Active Directory, Azure AD Domain Service, and Azure AD Connect service. This exam would not validate your skills on in-depth level of these services, but you should know the basics of these and when to use which service. All right, time for the knowledge checks. So make sure you take the screenshot of this page and this page. Try to answer these questions and let me know in the comment if you face any difficulty answering these questions. Thank you so much for watching the video. I hope the video was somewhat helpful to you in understanding the concept of Azure Active Directory and the related services. If it was, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing the channel if you are new here. And let me know in the comment section what you think about the video and if you face any difficulty in understanding any of the concepts. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you soon with the next video.